I'm outside. I got these crazy dogs. They would literally jump on you and just be excited as hell and just lick the shit out of you for like 10 hours straight. They're sweet dogs. I wanted to say, so I guess I'm making these videos now, and I'm not making them in proper YouTube format. I don't care. I'm more comfortable with this. But anyway, I wanted to say, for one, so I've been hearing voices since I was 4 years old. And those voices essentially raised me to a degree, but they raised me on my spiritual journey. That's how they were raising me. And like in my last upload, I talked about, how I was like 10 years old probably the first time, if not younger, but like 10 years old, the first time I started to like crave expanded consciousness and enlightenment. Like it used to kind of drive me nuts a little bit, like, because I'd be like, I know it's just, there's like another form of reality just right in front of me. I just can't see it. I can't figure out how to get on the other side of it and experience it. Like when I was young, 10 years old, I knew there was more to reality than what I was experiencing. So like my voices helped raise me, and like I kind of took on like kind of like treating myself like I was living in a monastery a little bit when I was young. Like my home life was chaotic. Okay, it was crazy, but I did a lot of chores. Like I spent most of my time doing chores, and then when I wasn't doing chores, I was out exploring, the woods. But while I was doing chores, I was applying like Buddhist meditative principles to my work. Like learning how to I don't know, just like learning how to not be so angry, essentially. Like I took a vow of non-violence when I was probably like 12. Like my sister used to beat the shit out of me every morning before school, and I was just like would bow down and just take it, and like in my head I'm like taking a vow of non-violence, because I'm like, she don't deserve me to fight back. She don't deserve any of that shit. She don't deserve any more of that bullshit. Yeah, I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
You're fine. I really can't remember what the fuck I was gonna make this video about. I'll have to stitch these things together. I remember what I was gonna say. So, my voices have been raising me like in my spiritual life since I was 4. Like when I was a kid, I had to quickly just figure out whether or not it was God speaking to me or what. And like when these voices started saying like negative shit to me, I'm 4 years old handling complicated things like this. But they started telling me to like do bad things, and I was like, well, God would never tell me to do stuff like that. So what I reasoned it out to be was just like, I don't know, like being able to like telepathy to a certain degree. And I was like, when I hear negative things, it must be someone somewhere in the world who's struggling, like calling out for help. And I just happened to be sensitive enough to realize that. So like from 4 on, I used to, when I would hear negative voices, I would stop what I was doing and I would just like send out like a prayer to the voice. And I would try, like from a young age, I started trying to like like feel positive energy and just like send it out. Hold on, we're about to go somewhere. Okay, so I'm back. We just got back, and I'm going back outside to smoke. Let me grab my drink. Wait, puppies. No, go outside. Oh my god. So these motherfuckers are gonna knock over my drink. Go away. Oh my. Okay, anyway, so young age, started stopping to like, I started trying to figure out how to like send energy through the astral realm essentially when I was a little kid. So, and like my voices were always very guiding, like my spiritual journey, my internal journey. They were always there to talk to me about, you know, how to manage things, in a positive way. And, like you could have considered me like a light worker, like somebody who's aware of the collective consciousness and aware of the back and forth flow of energy, and just like a person who would take time out of their day to just like send out positive energy to in the best way I could. Like if I could, like being aware of just like people in the world and just kind of letting it flow through me, you know, because my life is good, things, I feel good, so just let that flow through me and hopefully that extends out somewhere. So I had, without really understanding or knowing, like I grew up in the Midwest. I'm in Missouri. Like spirituality ain't a thing over here. Like unless it's like physical witchcraft. But like enlightenment, yeah, right. Everybody around here is busy making money and buying Nikes. But what I wanted to say was that I've had a voice telling me lately to be patient. And like I'm pretty good at like feeling the flow of things, energy, like in my mind. And like when I hear this voice, it like comes in like a strong, gentle current that just passes through. So I consider it important. I pay attention to it. I've had experience to be patient for some reason. My spiritual journey, to be patient on the storytelling, that me telling stories, making videos, getting my story out there for people to hear and listen to. It's telling me to be patient on that degree. So I'm kind of expecting something to come from all this. Who knows? But anyway, I've had experiences with my voices being psychic. Like, I have some crazy experiences with psychic ability. But like, I remember like I was making TikToks a couple years back, and I was just whatever, spiritual witchy type TikToks, and then we were talking about psychic ability, and a lady comes into my TikTok just just making a joke, going, "Oh, you should do a reading on me." And I was like, yeah, I don't know if it'll work, but that'd be interesting. And then I didn't do it. But then like later in the day, I was like, you know what? Let's just give it a try. And I was like, so what's going on with this lady? And then I got told Aquarius, and then fuck that guy. And I was like, okay. So I get in the comments and I tell her, I said, I was told Aquarius and fuck that guy. And she was like, holy shit. I was wanting to know about, you know, the nature of my relationship with this ex that I have. We recently separated. And then she goes, we're both Aquarius. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay. So these voices sometimes, they're right. And if you listen to them sometimes, to the positive things, you can rely on them. You can trust them. But like the negative stuff, you never know where that shit's coming from. You never know where it's coming from or why it's coming to you. I've had a lot of experiences of like my voices being like, you're fucked. And I'm just like, oh crap. Because that means like within a day or two, something emotionally devastating is going to barrel into my life. And I'm going to have a bad time with it. Every single time. Every time. I don't know. I guess I was diagnosed with disorganized schizophrenia. So like my story's going to come out in a mess. I can't help it. Especially when you start talking about abstract concepts like spirituality. It's hard for me to like wrap my head in a straight line around all that shit, because I have so many experiences. But right now, like currently, so I was practicing high magic for the sake of purification and, you know, aura strengthening, and it fucking worked. I was doing it to heal and recover from PTSD, and it worked. It worked. It took like a year and a half of dedicated ritual work for that to happen, but yeah. But however, I have through ritual practice. This is something I've experienced in the past. I haven't told the story, and I probably never will because it's hard to reflect on. But I went through a spontaneous awakening 14 years ago, back at the ass end of 2009. I went through a spontaneous spiritual awakening. But what was really going on was I was experiencing schizophrenic psychosis for the first time, and I just ended up taking a vow of silence, and then it turned into me being mute to where like I couldn't speak, and it was like that for like months. So I attribute all my experiences with enlightenment to being essentially gifted schizophrenic psychosis way back then. Like it has been a nightmare for 14 years. I just pushed my consciousness as far as I possibly could, because I had nothing better to do than be in my mind for 4 months as a mute. I've experienced walking in the divine kingdom, and I've also experienced that Garden of Eden state that Damien has mentioned. I've experienced that a few times. Sometimes, like, there's a lot of things that I experience. There's a lot of enlightened states that I experience. There's a lot of things to experience. And like for a long time I was like, because I got the diagnosis of schizophrenia, the first thing I said, because I knew I had woken up, but it was just like, there's no way. Like I wasn't practicing meditation. Like I wasn't doing any of that shit. And it was while I was experiencing my initial enlightenment, which is a story I'll probably never tell because it's traumatic. I was like, is this enlightenment? Am I waking up? And then my voices, right, kept telling me, let go, let go, let go. All the way down to the point to where I was like, there's nothing to even let go of. If you're telling me to let go of myself, there's no self to let go of. Like let go of, I think it was just letting go of the persona, like your perceived persona of yourself essentially just like disappears. Because you are whoever you are and however you are in each and every moment. It can be different. But I was like, let go of what? I was like, there's nothing to let go of, because after this experience, I'm still gonna get up and be me. So let go of what? But that shit was not helpful at all. The one piece of advice that was helpful, like I was experiencing states of fucking terror. Like I was terrified. This experience was so extreme. That the one piece of advice was like coming from me in the future. And she was saying, Casey, it doesn't matter where or when you calm down, just as long as you do. So like the whole time I was like, am I fucking waking up? Is this enlightenment? And I was like, there's no fucking way. You know, there's no way. And it was like, I was not questing. I did not search for this. So I was like really fucking pissed off. Like when I crossed the abyss, Crowley says it creates an oasis. And it does. It creates that Garden of Eden state. And you just exist in like this. It's a pretty amazing feeling. I wouldn't necessarily call it bliss. I honestly think that is our natural state. Like as human beings, our natural state of existence is that Garden of Eden state, and that everyone is capable of being there, and that the more people we can get woken up in the world, existing in that purified calmness, that heightened state of peace and awareness, the more people we can get into the garden, the fucking better. And like, but the thing, my initial experience of that, I was mad. I was really angry because I went through a lot. It was fucking terrifying, like literally terrifying. And I was pissed. And also, my yama niyama was not in order, so I was not living in my ideal situation at the time. So I just like refused to acknowledge it. Like I was existing in an oasis, pissed off. And then just for years, I just was naturally going through the alchemical process, which is, I have something to say about like shit I used to do as a kid, like internal alchemy that I used to do as a kid. Sorry, this stuff is a little overwhelming because there's so many things to say. I've experienced so many things. But just for years, I was like, there's no way, there's no way. And then here, even recently, just several months back, I had a vision of myself. And like, this vision was like crystal clear, just like I was looking at reality. It was a vision of me where I was like, like in an ignorant state. Like my facial expression was just ignorance and just like bliss. And then behind me was this bright light, that soft yellow light that you see on statues, right? Like the Buddha has the light around him, and I was like, yeah, okay. But then there was also following that vision, like a day later I had a vision, or the same day, I don't remember. It was like the same day or the next day or some shit. So I had that vision of me, and I was like, okay, I get it. I am an enlightened being. I get it. It's time to acknowledge this shit, and it's time to move forward in my life with that knowledge. Because trust me, I didn't believe it for a lot of years, but my experiences recently with using high magic as a tool has just shown me that I am, that I have experienced these things, and that it's not just schizophrenic psychosis, even though I've been through both. But yeah, I was gonna say, it just makes a lot of sense that somebody experiencing schizophrenia would it would be possible for that person experiencing psychosis to become fully enlightened. Like, it makes all the sense in the world. Like, who else would you suspect, right? If you could do it on your own, just with your mind, without practicing Raja Yoga or without practicing high magic, that schizophrenic psychosis would be one of the best, easiest, fastest doorways into enlightenment. Fuck all. Oh yeah, I had another vision where I was like, it was me, and like my eyes opened up real slowly and the eyes were red, and it was just like pain that doesn't hurt. Which is kind of funny because this is such a long story, but so I had those two visions of myself recently, and I'm just like Damien talks about higher and lower mind, right? You got the 72 angels, which is the 72 whatevers of the higher consciousness, and then you got the 72 goetic demons, which is the 72 whatever of lower consciousness, your lower mind. And I did both. Like, during my initial awakening, I traversed into my lower mind, which is essentially allowing myself to be consumed by hatred, and then to be consumed by selfishness, and without interacting in my environment. So like, I was experiencing all these things like in my mind, right, without like lashing out or reacting in a mode of hatred or selfishness, unless you could consider being a mute who doesn't move selfish, which I think you can. But at this, you know, especially if you're a mother and you're surrounded by your children and you're refusing to interact with your children in any way, then yeah. But so I've experienced those enlightened states, like the garden, and then also, you know, walking in the divine kingdom, and then a lot of other things along the way, but also lower mind stuff. Which I don't really understand all that lower stuff, because I know that leads to like a depth of experience, but I don't really know. I've spent like all years and years of my life just trying to maintain normal.
Hold this, don't smoke. Watching you.
I'm not gonna smoke it. I can't smoke. I've had somebody be like, oh, you have schizophrenia, it's because you're on a fucking high frequency anyway, you don't need weed. I'm like, yep, it freaks me out. Anyway, I guess I don't know what else I have to say. I'll probably repeat myself and tell stories over and over again, but I'm not sure. But yeah, high magic has definitely, learning from Damien has helped me come around to acknowledging my own experiences, and then just seeing how high magic has helped me heal from things that I've been struggling with my entire life since childhood. And then not only that, but it opened that door. I don't know, it just generated something inside of me, just that energy, I guess, build up. It was definitely a tool that helped me get back into that garden state, which is pretty fucking impressive. Because I haven't actually been in that garden state for like 14 years, right? Because I wasn't practicing magic or didn't have a spiritual practice after my initial enlightenment. I had just been maintaining like certain experiences of, and just weird things. But yeah, high magic brought me back into that garden state. And then also here recently, yeah, I don't know, I've said enough. I'm confusing my goddamn self. Anyway, bye. I forgot, I should have mentioned. So like, I allowed myself to traverse into those experiences of your lower mind. Things like selfishness and hatred, anger. Anger's weird. But during those 4 months, I gave myself over to that, to feeling that, until it became like loving peacefulness, like until it just expired, until those feelings expired within myself. So that's it. I don't really know what else to say about all this stuff. I hope that you could follow the story, sort of. Anyway, bye.